All right, everyone, I think it's time to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to the Advisory Committee meeting for the 2022 Bottle Bill Package. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this afternoon's meeting. My name is Nicole Blase and I am the Rules Coordinator for the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. Today's meeting is being recorded. Please be aware of whether or not your phone or computer is muted. Committee members are asked to remain on mute until the introductions portion of today's meeting. Only invited committee members will be a part of today's conversation. Members were selected due to their level of interest or position within the community. Please be courteous to other committee members so that we don't have multiple participants speaking at once. You may use the raise hand function in Teams and we will call on you in order. With that in mind, we ask that each of you serve as goodwill ambassadors to the discussion so that you may represent your constituency professionally. Non-committee members will be able to tender comments during the public hearing and during the comment period. Committee members, please state your first and last name when you make a comment. In the hopes of cultivating a platform for better discussion, we will not be doing a share screen during the rules discussion portion of today's RAC. That being said, please be sure that you have a copy of the draft rules in front of you, or let us know if you need one sent to you. Okay, let's get started. Today is Tuesday, July 12th at approximately 1 p.m. Many of you are familiar with the rulemaking process, but for those of you who have not yet had the opportunity, or for those listening in, I will begin by saying a few words about rulemaking and the purpose of advisory committee meetings. The purpose of an advisory committee is to increase the public's involvement in the drafting and development of administrative rules. The Oregon Legislature, through its enactment of the Administrative Procedures Act, ORS Chapter 183, stresses the critical importance of the public's participation in policy development. Advisory committees are an excellent way to solicit input from internal and external stakeholders who are likely to be impacted by the development or amendment of agency policy and rule. Consequently, advisory committee invitees may include licensees, permittees, industry representatives, OLCC staff, members of law enforcement, local government, the public, local community organizations, small businesses, and other interested stakeholders. The purpose of having all of the members on this committee today is to hear from different parts of the industry and public health and safety partners. The Commission strives to hear from all interested parties. Our role today will be to explain the background and context of these rules and the changes that are being proposed in this package. We will provide facilitation to ensure that all committee members can provide input today. During this afternoon's meeting, I will seek your input on the proposed amendments to the 2022 Bottle Bill Package. Today, staff will explain the proposed language changes to the 2022 Bottle Bill Package by amending Chapter 845, Division 20. Under Oregon's public meeting law, this meeting is open to the public and members of the public are free to observe our discussion, but may not offer comments. The agency will digitally record this advisory committee meeting and will produce and circulate a record of our discussion. However, because this meeting is intended to promote the open exchange of ideas, we will maintain an informal atmosphere today, and meeting minutes will record only the topics discussed and the main points made. Approximately a week after our meeting, we will post and distribute the meeting's audio. And now we will move on to introductions. I will call on you to introduce yourself if you are a committee member. When introducing yourself, please state your name and the organization you are representing. Again, I'll start. I'm Nicole Blase, and I am the Rules Coordinator for the OLCC. Next today, we have Becky Vocal.
Good morning or good afternoon, Becky Vocal. I'm the Bottle Bill Program Manager for the OLCC.
Thank you, Becky. Megan Johnson.
Hello, my name is Megan Johnson, and I am the Bottle Bill Specialist for the OLCC.
Thanks, Megan. Kelly Rout.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kelly Rout, Policy, Rules, and Public Records Advisor for the OLCC.
Thanks, Kelly. Danelle Romaine.
Hi, everyone. Danelle Romaine, Executive Director of the Oregon Beer and Wine Distributors Association.
Thank you, Danelle. Christina LaRue.
Good afternoon. Christina LaRue, Executive Director of the Oregon Brewers Guild.
Thank you, Christina. Sean Miller.
Yeah, Sean Miller, representing the Northwest Grocery Association.
Thank you, Sean. Eric Chambers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Chambers, Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative.
Thank you, Eric. Steve Gibbs.
Steve Gibbs, VP of Government Affairs for Columbia Distributing. Hello.
Thank you, Steve. Jonathan Polonsky.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Polonsky, CEO for Plaid Pantry Convenience Stores.
Thank you, Jonathan. Richard Kosisen. All right, we'll circle back to Richard. Nicole Hazelbaker.
Nicole Palmetier, Hazel Baker, here on behalf of the Oregon Beverage Association.
Thank you, Nicole. And Nick Banica.
Hello, everyone. I'm with Admiral Beverage Northwest. I'm the general manager for the Pendleton location, Pendleton Bottling.
Great. And just circling back, Richard, have you joined us today?
I was here, I was muted, and it's Richard Coast with the Oregon Neighborhood Store Association. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Richard. That covers all of our staff and committee members for today. Thank you all for attending. So let's now move on to our discussion of the proposed rules language. And Becky Vocal will take it away and describe the changes to the draft.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us today. So last summer, Senator Dambro convened a bottle bill work group to look at updates aimed at improving access to redemption services in the state. The result was SB 1520 that requires an OLCC notice to be posted at stores for customers and store employees so that they're clear about the requirements for each store. It also requires large distributors that are currently not participating in the statewide distributor cooperative to either join the cooperative or provide equivalent services, and smaller distributors to either join the cooperative or pay an annual fee to the state. The legislation also added wine in cans as redeemable, but because that doesn't go into effect until 2025, we're not including that in the rulemaking this go round. While the bottle bill rules are open, we're also doing a little housekeeping by adding definitions for distributor and distributor cooperative. And with that, I think we can open up things for discussion.
Oh, so I see Eric there. This is Kelly from OLCC. Probably a good idea just to like start with the first rule definitions, see if anyone has any questions, and then we can move sort of through the rules as we go on. So I'll turn it over to Eric since he's got his hand raised.
Hey, Eric, you're on mute. You're on mute, Eric. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. I was just saying that Kelly's point there had actually answered most of my question, which was how we should dive in. Violating the answer to that question just a bit, I'll just thank OLCC for pulling together this information. And we were part of the process that Senator Dambro conducted to examine some of these issues. And I think at a very high level, the work that the agency has done to try to define what needs to be defined in the rules is consistent with the conversations that we had leading up to Senate Bill 1520. And I just really appreciate the agency's work to pull that information together and to put something together that's pretty straightforward and easy to understand.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on the two definitions that we added? The first one, they're largely sort of pulled from the statute. So if you've seen the statutes, it's probably familiar language to you. But if there's any questions or comments, we can discuss those, or we can move on to sort of the meat of our rules, which is the creation of the redemption centers by distributors who are not participating in distributor cooperatives. We have a bit of a quiet group today. I think perhaps it will be beneficial, and let us know. I've put something in the chat if you don't have rules in front of you. I'm assuming there wasn't any questions or comment on the definitions, but for the requirements of distributors not participating in a distributor cooperative, the language largely mirrors what's in the statute, although the statute does allow for the agency to add any additional requirements in addition to what the statute provided. And we did sort of build this out a little bit more. So what you'll see in here is that we've gotten specific on like how the amount of time that the redemption center needs to operate, and then also establishing programs for nonprofits. But we've kind of mirrored the statutory language as far as like, requiring access to, the drop off and the pickup and that sort of thing. So I think section 2 of this new rule, and I'm for those of you that are following along with the rules, I'm on page 3. Yeah, let us know if you have any questions or feedback on those, the redemption services. That would be really helpful.
At a risk of monopolizing the group's time, I'll jump in just briefly to note. I think we feel like this is a pretty good start at defining what those comparable services are. I don't think that we feel like the rule needs to get any more specific about what it means. There are a range of other consumer pieces. I mean, I think if we back up to kind of the conversations leading to Senate Bill 1520, they were really focused on trying to have a seamless consumer experience in the state and trying to take some of the pressure off of grocery stores, which are serving as the only redemption points inside of these areas. And so, I think that when we look at the entirety of what a redemption center means in OBRC's bottle drop system, that's also a 7-day-a-week customer service call center and a mature account interface and a mobile application, that customers can use to view their account details and open drop doors and those types of things. We don't think that the rule needs to include any of those items, but I just wanted to note that it's not exhaustive, as statute notes that there are other items that could be included there. And it's our opinion that those are comparable services as part of a redemption center.
I'm trying to fix my motorcycle here.
Oh, looks like there's someone talking that I can't quite hear, but Christina's got her hand raised as well. Go ahead, Christina.
Thank you. So I'm looking at all of this through really the lens of our brew pubs, right? So our breweries who have brew pub locations. The 500,000 beverages and beverage containers, is that from the previous year? So my first question is, if a brewery has a brew pub location, when looking at the number of containers moving through that brew pub location, is it just that number versus everything that they're producing that may already go through a distributor? I'm just wondering what that 500,000, because if their primary distribution goes through a distributor, but they're also selling 6-packs, 4-packs, bottles to consumer, direct to consumer via their brew pub. I'm just wondering, I guess my question is the comparable services. I have concerns over that for brew pub locations. Like, what are their requirements?
So my understanding is that the 500,000 is any redeemable beverage that's sold. So if a manufacturer, a brew pub manufactures beverages and sells them to go as a redeemable container, then those would count in that 500,000.
Okay.
Or in whatever number, whatever level.
But to be clear about that, Christina, you asked if their containers that go through a distributor are double counted, and they are not.
Right.
They are not. Okay.
So a distributor may have to report the beverage that they sell to go through, their own beverages they sell through their own locations, but their distributor would report on their behalf for the beverages they sell.
Okay. So if they are selling, let's say total for the year of 500,000 beverage containers or more, and they're now required, because they also sell through their brew pub, they're required to set up comparable services for those containers that are going through their brew pub. Is that accurate? Then now they would be required for those containers to have a redemption center on site. Is that accurate?
It's not necessarily a redemption center on site. It's providing equivalent services basically to what OBRC does. So it would involve redemption centers, but it involves, bag drop programs and dealing with stores, picking up empties. So it's basically mirroring what OBRC does.
And they would be required to do this 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. I think 500,000 is a pretty high threshold. When the legislature was being discussed in the work group, that was set pretty high. And we looked at statistics for the last year. And I think, Eric, you can correct me on this. I think there are only like 10 to 15 businesses that sold 500,000 or more.
Yeah, thanks, Becky. That's consistent with our point too. And Christine, I think for all of your members, the comparable services, I don't think they're at a sales mark where the comparable services provisions would kick in. That's really the larger distributors, who are distributing lots of beverages. And containers manufactured for sale out of Oregon wouldn't be part of that also, if that makes sense. It's just containers sold to dealers in Oregon or sold directly to consumers.
Thank you.
Looks like Nick has his hand raised. Go ahead, Nick.
So I'm hoping you guys could shine some light on this. What exactly is a similar service as OBRC?
Well, OBRC operates redemption centers. They pick up empties from stores around the state. They, they offer, I'm reading from the rule here, customer service, access. Just pretty much it'd be a business that would do this would be another OBRC.
Because for us, for instance, we're not members, so we take care of our own can bags and empty bottles at all the customers that we service, and we pick all those up throughout the week as we service the accounts. And so we've been doing that for years and still doing it, of course. I just want to make sure that there isn't something that we're missing and basically not following the rules, unintentionally.
This is a big change from that. Distributors currently and for years have been required to pick up their empty containers from stores and redemption centers wherever in the state that they're returned. And OBRC does that currently on behalf of their members. This is ramping it up to a new level where it's not just picking up empties, your empties and taking care of your containers. You would be required to pick up all containers from anything in your area. You'd have to serve stores. You'd have to have redemption centers and provide customer service, have green bag. Well, and green bag is proprietary to Bottle Drop, but a bag drop-off service, including a nonprofit kind of drop-off service. So it would be much more than just serving your customers as you are now and picking up your empties.
So pretty much open to the public for similar service as, let's say, a Bottle Drop.
Yes, comparable service to what OBRC is providing now.
And so the way we operate Monday through Fridays, you know, from 8 to 5, but now we would be obligated to provide the service 7 days a week, or is it just during the business hours for our company?
No, it would be 7 days a week.
Okay.
It looks like Christina. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you go ahead, Nicole. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think Christina was next, and then Danelle will follow. Christina?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to put my hand down.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, Danelle?
Thank you. I was going to say that I think some of the questions that have been raised were already decided in the text of the statute, and we support the rule language, the draft rule language. I think it accurately reflects the intent of the statute, especially to capture the larger entities that are selling bottle bill redeemable products and not covering the cost of the system. And so we think the language that's proposed accurately captures everybody and their responsibilities under the system. So thanks.
Nick? Nick, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I guess. Oh, sorry, I just forgot to turn that off.
That's okay.
There isn't any additional feedback on this particular rule, which is the requirements for distributors not participating in a distributor cooperative, which sort of sets out the requirements for those services. We can move on to the next rule, which is fees. And it seemed to make sense. Like there's already some fees for distributor cooperatives in statute. The Senate Bill 1520 added some additional fees for distributors, and then also added in a fee for distributor cooperatives. So we decided to put it all in one place, just sort of like a one-stop shopping kind of information location. I will say that the rule language largely mirrors what's in statute. So there's not a whole lot of differences there, but mostly we just wanted to put it all in one place, but happy to answer any questions or receive any feedback about what's listed here. And I think just for the benefit of the group, just to summarize what's here, so it starts off, the rule starts first with fees for distributors who do not participate in distributor cooperatives, and it does, per the statute, break it down into those distributors that sell more than 500,000 beverage containers in the previous year. They have to pay $3,000 multiplied by the total number of redemption centers operated in the state. But then there's sort of a carve out if they do operate a full service redemption center, how they satisfy that obligation to pay. And then there's also the fees for the distributors who sell fewer than 500,000, but more than 15,000, and then also fewer than 15,000, provides a deadline, and then also provides the statutory carve out that if those smaller distributors who are selling fewer containers than 500,000, if they become a participant in distributor cooperative before the end of the year, don't need to pay the fee. And then for the distributor cooperatives, we've sort of taken from the statute what's already in there. They have to pay their annual registration fee for all of their redemption centers, but then also have to pay $3,000 for any redemption centers operated by other distributors. I think I am not as familiar with these